I remember this one particular time we drove from Tanzania, and then our car stalled at a roundabout in Nairobi, and it was at night. And when that happened, I remember we were so afraid of Nairobi, having come from Tanzania and all that. And some guys, they came, started surrounding the car. And I remember we tried to check what was wrong and we couldn't find it. Then one of the guys that was chewing Mira there, he looked at the car just like that without touching anything. And he told me that I was going to pay 5,000, and that was 16 years ago. But I've never forgotten. That was a lot of money. But then it was night. I was afraid for my family, so he said I had to pay upfront. But whatever he's going to do under 5 minutes, he guaranteed me that I was going to be out of that place. So I thought, okay, fine. And the guy went straight to the terminals. The terminals were loose, and he just tightened. And I complained. I say, hey, you have made 5,000 within a few seconds. This guy said, you are not paying me for the time I've used to solve your problem. You are paying me for the time I spent in school learning how to locate those problems.
Wow.
Hey, how is your day going? My name is Apostle Paul, and this is my co-host.
I'm Rosita Paul. You can call me Rosita anytime.
And today I just want to promise you, you're going to like what we shall be talking about, because we shall be touching on issues to do with information, getting to have right knowledge on time so that you avoid pain, you avoid frustration, you avoid delay, you avoid expensive ventures that end up becoming nothing.
Yes, amazing. So basically, we're going to be touching on what we could have done better if we knew better, because at the end of the day, what you're doing is an explanation or is to the extent of what you know. And with more information, then you get to do some things differently. So we're going to be sharing about what we would have done better earlier on in our lives. And yeah, so we're just gonna delve into the topic today. And but first of all, we could focus on understanding why is it even necessary to have information, knowledge, why is it important?
Oh, yeah, it is so important to have knowledge because you cannot be a master of anything without information.
Yeah.
And what you know actually determines your success or your failure. And a lot of us, we are going blind in life. We get into relationship blindly, we get into ministry or industry blindly, and at the end of it, you waste a lot of time.
Yeah.
And much later, when you come to discover some information, you find a lot of people are regretting and they are saying, if only I had gotten this information that I know now 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they think that they would have become a global phenomenon or something.
Yeah, that is true. So it's important basically to have knowledge, because by knowledge people prosper, by knowledge you avoid mistakes. And so many people have gotten hurt because they know better, whether it's business wise, relationships, education wise, career. Every single mistake that most people make is connected to lack of information. And now I'm curious to know if there is a particular point in your life that now you know you would have done things differently if you knew then what you know now.
Oh, there is a lot of that, and there's a lot of that. And before I tell you that story, I remember this one particular time we drove from Tanzania, and then our car stalled at a roundabout in Nairobi, and it was at night. And when that happened, I remember we were so afraid of Nairobi, having come from Tanzania and all that. And some guys, they came, started surrounding the car. And I remember we tried to check what was wrong and we couldn't find it. Then one of the guys that was chewing Mira there, he looked at the car just like that without touching anything. And he told me that I was going to pay 5,000, and that was 16 years ago. But I've never forgotten. That was a lot of money. But then it was night. I was afraid for my family, so he said I had to pay upfront. But whatever he's going to do under 5 minutes, he guaranteed me that I was going to be out of that place. So I thought, okay, fine. And the guy went straight to the terminals. The terminals were loose and he just tightened. And I complained. I say, hey, you have made 5,000 within a few seconds. This guy said, you are not paying me for the time I've used to solve your problem. You are paying me for the time I spent in school learning how to locate those problems.
Wow.
I will never forget that statement.
That
And
is
yeah, and with that, we were out of there. So when you lack information on time, not only will you be losing money, you also lose time, some lose honor, some lose direction in life, some lose purpose, and so many other things.
wow.
Yeah, so I know you know when I married, for example, I knew nothing about marriage other than I was going to have a very happy marriage. That one I was kind of very sure I was happy. I knew I was a good guy and I knew I've met a great lady and I knew that it was going to be okay. What I didn't know was there's a difference between being a man and being a husband. And there's a difference between being a woman and being a wife. There are many men with a woman and the two cannot work a marriage. You got to be a husband and a wife for a marriage to ensue. So I traveled past the grace the first 5 years. I was so Bible smart, but I was not life smart. I could quote any scripture on anything, but I had no principle that would make a wife feel that she had a good husband.
Wow.
So I traveled, thankfully, because she had more information about how life is run. She was able to be patient with me, trained me, taught me. And this man that many people admire was actually fabricated by Pastor Grace by giving me information. And then I was ready to learn.
Wow, you said that, and I remembered a TikTok video I saw of this man that was saying so many Christians are failing in marriage because they are very Bible smart, heaven smart, but not life smart. And for you to succeed both spiritually and carnally in the world, you need to have information from both sides. But unfortunately, you think just because you know the Bible from Genesis to Revelations that you're set for life, but there are principles that work here on earth that you need to know about for you to be able to successfully live here on earth, have a wonderful marriage. Those principles, you need to know them. And that basically circles back to knowledge and information. And you saying that just confirms what so many people could be facing. You know, you think just because you can speak in tongues, interpret tongues, that you're set for life, but without knowing the principles and the knowledge required to smartly live on earth, then you're still bound to fail. So that is powerful. That's something you said that's deep.
Yeah, being ready to go to heaven is not equal to being ready to stay here on earth with another person as a wife or a husband. You can be well prepared to go to heaven, but you're not well prepared to stay married.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things I personally advocate and encourage people is get to know things before you get yourself into. For example, if you know what you're supposed to do in a relationship, it will make it easier so that you don't waste someone's time. Because I've met people who have been engaged 7 years, 10 years, only to say, we're not compatible. Now that you just discovered you're not compatible after 10 years, are you okay? I mean, that is too long a time to waste someone's precious moment. So I think it's important that we get information on time regarding every area, whether it is choosing a career, choosing a life partner, choosing which ministry you'll be serving under, choosing friends, choosing investment. You need information. I remember one time I decided I was going to buy a piece of land. And I didn't know much about land, but one of my friends had bought a land somewhere. And I decided I was going to pull a surprise on Pastor Grace. So I decided I was not going to tell her. So then I went, I paid the amount, and then I brought it as a surprise. And she was not as happy as I expected. So, but she asked me a question. Before you bought the land, did you do a land search? I said, no, Bishop so-and-so, my friend, has bought there. Another bishop I know has bought in the same place. So there was no need for me to do a land search. And guess what? A few months down the line, and I remember he would take the whole family and show them, here, we're going to do a balcony. Then we shall buy binoculars, and I'm showing you the buffaloes, because the land was not very far from the national park. But 3 months down the line, I am told that I have double bought something that has already been bought by another person. And that's how I lost all the investment. So we suffer from a lack of information from all fronts. All fronts. Whether it's a friendship, you can bring a friend too close who you are supposed to be on the periphery of the relationship, and you brought this person to so close. By the time you realize, he has been the one who has been diverting your blessing, who's been causing delay in your life, who's causing a lot of pain in your life. And that is why I really believe that it is good to get information from all fronts.
Amazing. Now that we've established the fact that information is important, what channels have you used in your life to get this information that is practical and applicable in your life, information that you've used to make decisions, and information that has helped you understand you would have done some things differently in your past?
The very first thing I came to terms with, I don't know enough. A lot of people think they already know. They know everything, and so they don't ask. I was reading a book written by Dr. Miles Monroe of the blessed memory, and he was saying that when you go before great people, please shut up. And if you're going to speak, ask questions. So when he said that, it kind of challenged me that there is power in questions. And I read the Bible in the book of Job, where it says that inquire from fathers of the old ways, and you shall be able to be told what you ought to do. So, and actually that is where I came up with a book called Harnessing the Power of Questions, because I realized that questions create schools. Questions create classes. Whatever you do not know, somebody else knows. So if you can only humble down and ask the question, whether you know it, you can even confirm. It's okay to confirm whether you are right. So the first thing I did, I began to be so full of questions. I questioned people that I think they are doing better than me, or they seem to know more than me. I have been asking questions. Then the next thing that I did, I have given my life to books. I've read a lot of books, and then I became somebody who not only knows but also practices out some of the principles that I've seen working for others, and some I think is a principle I've discovered. I practice, I practice that because it's not enough to know. If you know and you're not practicing what you know, because you know the difference between wisdom and knowledge. Knowledge is the accumulation of facts and information, but wisdom is correct application of information and facts. So I decided to be wise. I will be applying whatever knowledge, somebody shares with me and I find it helpful, I will apply it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You said about asking questions, and I remembered when you wrote the book, Harnessing the Power of Questions. I think I was in Form 3. I read that book, and it also pointed me towards the same curiosity of wanting to find out more, understanding that there's always someone who knows better than you. And so I started nagging my physics teacher, Mr. Murago. As of that time, I would literally bug him so much, asking questions. And one of the questions that I asked him was, how is it that you never come to class with a textbook, but from the beginning to the end of the lesson, you're gonna follow the book verbatim? And he told me it's because I have not just read the book to get the knowledge, I have absorbed it so much so that I'm practicing the physics. It's not head knowledge, it's practical knowledge. So what I'm coming to teach you is practical. And that's why you think I'm just showing off, but I've taken up this physics as a practical subject instead of theoretical. And it made me understand that I've been taking physics as a theory, trying to memorize, cram the formulas and whatnot. So when he told me that physics is a very practical lesson, I decided I was gonna do the same thing. So instead of reading to get theory, I started reading to get the practical aspect of it. And long story short, I got an A in physics after understanding, after asking this question, and he gave me an answer that really just changed my mind. So you emphasizing on the power of questions helps me understand, or also helps our audience understand. You can always ask a question. And the Swahili people said, hakuna swali
Bila jibu.
bila jibu.
There.
And they've also said something about kuuliza sio ujinga.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember. You can literally ask any question as long as you believe that you're not asking because you're foolish, you're just asking because you understand there is more knowledge to know. So that is a very practical aspect.
You have been a very knowledgeable person. I remember either you were in second year or in the university, and I remember you had a lot of problem because the people in the Christian Union, most of them, you were wondering how shallow they were in their reasoning, in their understanding of things and all that. And I remember people kind of felt intimidated around you as at that time, and you even began to distance yourself because when you begin to talk, it's like you are not connected at the level that you are thinking and processing information and all that. Maybe you can tell us, what do you tell somebody out there who is intimidated by information? Yeah.
Well, I think to overcome that intimidation, you need to understand how greatly your life can change once you embrace new information. For example, let's say in the aspect of a business, you feeling intimidated because someone else has a better understanding or more information concerning a certain business does not does not diminish their impact in their business, but what it does, it holds you back. So what if you look at it from the perspective of, if I can learn this and this and this from this other person that seems to be doing better, then I can also be able to grow in my business. So even when it comes, for example, to podcast production, something that has helped me is surrounding myself with people that have always known more about production. And it would have been very easy for me to feel intimidated and to feel like I'm stupid before them, or I don't understand what's happening. But I humbled down to learn from them, ask questions. How do I improve sound? What do we do about videography, photography? What's the best settings? I was humble enough to ask those questions, and that is what has led me to being in this media space for those past about 5-6 years now. So I think also understanding how greatly your life can change and the impact you can have in whatever you're seeking information is, it can help you not get intimidated with info, even when it comes to spiritual matters. Um, whether it's marriage, whether it's prayer, fasting, whatever it may, I think just understanding I need this knowledge because by it, I'm going to overcome the challenges I have, or I'm going to do better. And that's what has always been one of the things that I encourage people to do. If there's a specific area you're struggling with, I'll send you podcast, I'll send you books, whatever I think is going to help you, because I understand the power of knowing more
All right.
and doing better. And so I advocate for the same.
So what you're saying is that knowledge is not acquired accidentally. It's acquired
You
intentionally.
have to be
You
intentional.
got to be intentional. You got to purpose that you want to know. You want to become better.
Yeah.
And I think that is very, very important. I discovered something very powerful that the Bible says in Hosea 4 and verse 6. Many people know that verse, that my people perish for lack of knowledge, and knowledge they have rejected. So when I read that, and I came to conclude that in that case, therefore, ignorance is worse than Satan.
Oh,
Of what ignorance will do to you will be worse compared to what Satan can do. So you'd rather have Satan than lack knowledge.
oh my God. Maybe that's why even Satan will try to keep you from getting knowledge.
Exactly. Actually, by the way, there's a verse in scripture that says he blindens the mind so that they do not see.
Wow.
Because when your mind is blocked and you are told, hey, you can invest, don't say the country, the economy is bad. Just talk about your own wallet. How's your wallet doing? And if Satan can show you there are no opportunities, you will not amount to anything. You will struggle. It's possible to create mental barriers. So I really agree with what you are saying, that to acquire knowledge, you've got to be intentional. You cannot get knowledge by osmosis. You got to be intentional that you want to know. For example, one of the areas that I really feel so bad about is in marriage, because a lot of people, I don't know whether it's hormones that sent them into marriage. And, hormones may send you into marriage, but you need information to survive in marriage. And then you find people are married, but the way they are treating each other, you see a lot of ignorance at work. The husband does not know how to be a husband. The wife does not know what it means to be a wife. And so they keep on injuring, hurting, killing each other's passion, dismembering each other's vision, and they end up being so combative.
Yeah.
They are two enemies in the same combat zone. It is a horrible, horrible experience.
Yeah.
So I really encourage people, go for knowledge, whatever it takes. What if it's some money you go to pay to go to school, or to buy a book, or even to travel, to sit under a mentor who can just share some information. Do whatever it takes. Life is easier with information. That's why we say information is the mother of transformation. And those who lack information, they are deformed. So you want to move forward or for information?
Well, I've just remembered the verse, so we shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And I think truth and knowledge go hand in hand, because I feel like I've also struggled in some areas, and I remind myself the reason I'm struggling in these areas because I don't know the truth about it. I don't have enough knowledge about it. And I found myself researching things. And once I find the info, I find the knowledge, somehow I get set free from that challenge. Whether it's finances, I feel like for every new truth I've learned about money, even my financial management has changed. I've treated money differently, and it all came from a point of just getting more truth about the matter. And so maybe it could also help to explain if there's a particular area that you may have struggled with, but once you learned the truth about that area, you are able to apply that knowledge and be able to be free.
Yes, there is as a founder of churches and Bible schools and so many other things, one of the areas that I had ignorance about was coming up with a system or a structure that would be able to run the organizations that I've started. And I realized that the future of an organization is tied to its structure. And now I was running this invisible structure within me that the ministry would run as long as I was there. But if I am out of the country, because there is no structure that is running departments, there are no policies, these are a lot of people, hitting and bumping on each other because their job descriptions are not clear. What is expected of them is not clear. So I remember I moved around the city at that time, inquiring. I really began to ask my other bishops, other men of God, how do you handle finances? How do you do this? Unfortunately, no one was willing to give me that information. And the books on how to manage church finances that time, they were not there. And that is why I decided to go back to the university and do something to do with administration, because I was feeling I'm lacking. I had no information. And I pursued and researched on that for about 8 years until I met a man of God who opened up, Pastor George Mukabwa in Tanzania. This man of God is an institution of information. He shared with me some things that changed my life and ministry completely. So I think at this point, it would be good to let everybody know that whatever you don't know,
Yeah.
somebody else already knows. All you need to do, locate that person. If you locate that person,
Yeah.
and come in a humble way, because I've talked with some people and they're interrupting you and they are saying, yeah, yes, that's why, so you realize. And for me, when I see that I'm talking to somebody who already knows,
Yeah.
I just shut down. I don't have time to waste.
Yeah. Wow. So basically, found somebody who knew what you didn't know, and you were able to now build a system. What happened after that?
Now the system has made my life the easiest, because everything is now working, and I can tell anybody for free, no matter how spiritual you are, you need information. And some information you will not download it directly from God, you will get it from man. Like Moses was talking with God for 40 days, and God never told him about structures. Moses had to get structures from Jethro after his marriage was almost ruined because of his ignorance, despite his high level spirituality. So you cannot be too spiritual to ignore knowledge. And it's good also to say that your vision is actually another person's reality. So you can just talk to that person who has already arrived where you are looking forward to arrive. It will be easier. The power of a guide. The Bible says, by wise counsel, wage warfare. Like get information before you get into your challenges.
Well, you said if someone else knows what you don't know, you can learn from them and move faster in life. And it has just reminded me of this saying of you do not have to reinvent the wheel. If somebody else has been on that same path and they made it through to the end, you don't have to try and reinvent the wheel, go through so many difficulties, so many failures, make so many mistakes. If only you can allow yourself to learn from that person. And it could be even online, not necessarily one-on-one. It could be just learning from somebody else. For example, let's say you're a comedian, you wanna understand, how do I make it in life? Listen to Steve Harvey. You're gonna learn from him. You're gonna know what he did to get to where he is right now. And that's the same thing I did also for my podcast. I thought I don't have to think long and hard about how to grow, how to put myself out there. I watched other people that were doing better, people that I would admire, and listening from their life stories, their episodes, and I learned this is what I need to do, this is what I need to improve on. And I feel like I'm on a better place in life because I'm learning from other people without needing to struggle so much.
So what do you think is the problem with many people who have problems, but they are not looking for information how to get out of their quagmire, their challenges?
I feel like the concept of originality.
They want to be original.
Yes. I don't want to copy anybody. I want to come up with a new formula. I want to prove to everybody that I'm Albert Einstein.
Oh, man.
I feel like just that, I don't know if it's ego that makes one feel like I want to be original. I can't copy someone else. But what you don't understand is at the end of the day, there is nothing new under the sky.
Absolutely. You're so right. Can you imagine if I want to be an original driver who says, me, in my vehicle, I will never step on the brake because I want to be original.
Yeah, you'll figure out a new way. You'll invent a new way of stopping the car.
I'll die before I get there.
Before you figure it out. Yeah, so there is nothing new under the sun. And if you can overcome that mentality of I need to be original, I need to start a business that nobody has ever had before. If you overcome that mentality, you'd be able to go further in life because you may take someone else's idea, then improve on it, add your idea on it, add now your originality, your personality into it. For example, when I was starting the Airbnb business, I would have said, I don't want to open an Airbnb. There's so many of them. But then again, I told myself, it's not a new idea. I cannot invent any idea. So I'm just going to start. But how I package it is what is going to make it different.
Yeah, look how good you have been.
Yeah. So if people can overcome the concept of originality, you'd be able to get so much more information that is going to help your life.
Okay.
That's what I think could be one hindrance.
Oh, I also think the attitude of being unteachable could also be a great hindrance. There are a lot of people who are not ready to learn. They just are okay.
Yeah.
They don't have the humility required to listen. Somebody else give you instruction. Somebody tell you what you ought to do. And therefore, it's like some people have said that if I'm lost, leave me lost. I'm okay in my diversion, my troubles and all that. But I feel humility is very important. Humble down in your marriage. You don't know, you're not doing good in your marriage. So can you humble down? Because I've met people who don't want to be instructed. Like you see, people are married, but one is ready to learn, the other is not ready. and marriage can only be built by two people who have information. So I think there are many hindrances, but I think what you have said, ego, pride, and then lack of the ability to learn, those are major roadblocks in getting information, and of course the willingness to pay the price, because at times some of the information you get takes time for you to perfect it, because you can get a little bit here, another there, before you have the whole picture. Time and at times money is involved. Yes.
Even when it comes to, say, coaching, mentorship, it's gonna involve money, but some people feel like, why should I pay to get knowledge, or should I pay to get coached, without understanding that the price they're paying for this session or for being coached is gonna impact the rest of their life for always, And that's a challenge I feel like I've experienced in my mentorship forum, Talita Kyomi mentorship forum, because I did put a price on it. And then people said it was too much. And I'm thinking, it's 1,500.
Yes.
You have paid 1,500 to go to Dumo Festival, but you're not willing to pay 1,500 to be taught how to manage your finances, how to build your confidence. And you wonder, it's the same amount of money, but the impact is so much different, And so maybe if people can also open up to, this is an investment I'm making for my life, I'm gonna go further if I just pay this little price for information that's gonna take me so far. And sometimes you forget that the person you're trying to learn from is probably teaching you from mistakes they have made.
Yes.
Mistakes they have committed for 10 years. So you don't have to go through the same. You can learn from them. Somebody has gone to university, master's, PhD, and they're only asking for 500 shillings to teach you what they have learned.
Thousands. Yes.
I don't know, it just amazes me how people think, but I hope from this episode it could
Challenge somebody.
Yeah, open up to seeking information, as long as it's gonna be positive and it's gonna help you grow in your life.
Okay.
Yes.
I believe that is helpful, and I believe that anybody who has listened to this podcast, you're going to make a decision that is going to save you a lot of tears, a lot of time wastage, and diversion. So thank you so much for listening to us. Find time to go through our social media platforms, get more information, and thank you so much for being a great support to us.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, remember, when you know better, you will do better.
Absolutely.
We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.